Hello, and welcome back to Strategy Snacks. I'm Frenchie Ferenzi. I'm a growth strategist and thought partner for industry experts, creatives, and startup owners who are looking to build a lifestyle business that allows them to explore a multifaceted definition of success. And I really am excited to talk about today's topic because this is like a redux on one of the most overused phrases in business, in my opinion. I don't know. But I also kind of love this phrase. And so, welcome to what is going to be a little bit of a journey as we talk about this whole idea that what got you here won't get you there. So, high level, the way I interpret this statement, which is something that I think a lot of different business owners are, business coaches are saying, is that we need to explore new strategies to reach new levels of growth, right? Like, doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity, or, all that stuff and all that kind of thing. I believe that. I think that's true, and I think that we need to be open to explore. But what I think gets a little bit kind of mixed up is that what that can sometimes land as or get interpreted as is this idea that we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? That because what got you here won't get you there, we have to just start from scratch and keep starting from scratch. I generally believe that is not the case. I think that what it is a sign of, whenever you're kind of ready to reach a new level of growth, reach into a new kind of break through a plateau or establish a new business vertical or change your business model, is that you need to take stock of what you have going on in your business, and then from there establish what is no longer in service of my new goals, of the new benchmark, and what is actually really serving me and does help me get there. The reason being that a lot of the times we think that a new level, a new challenge, a new whatever is going to be, how can I put this? That the new level is like a whole new business, right? And that from one day to the next, we're going to flip the switch and suddenly be in this brand new place. That's not really how it works. It is typically a slow transition that over time gets you to the next business model. Now, this is both infuriating and highly practical. So why is it infuriating? Because typically as entrepreneurs, once we hold the vision or have the vision of what we want next, that's what we want and we want it now, right? That's what makes us entrepreneurs. That's what makes us business owners. I don't care if you identify as an entrepreneur or business owner, whatever. Point is that if you decided to make your own money and generate your own income and build your own business, that you have something in you that's ambitious, go-getter, and wants things now. So this whole idea of what got you here won't get you there is really, I think, just a reminder to reflect frequently so that you are consistently lining up the efforts between where you spend your time and energy and the results that you want. And I think there's some key places to look for, right? And so that's really what I want to talk about today in terms of tangible pieces, is that first of all, one, like I said, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Let it be a process. So think about, what am I doing today that still feels aligned with where I want to go? And what am I not doing that I should start doing? Or what am I doing that I need to stop doing? So that's kind of the first step. But then, as we think about that in a little bit more detail, what exactly are we looking at? What are we unpacking? What are we trying to understand? So the first thing that I want you to think about is messaging. Okay, this is the number one reason I see people kind of getting stuck between where they are today and where they want to go. Changing your messaging to speak to a new and different audience when you have established a track record, some track record of making money with the existing messaging that reaches a certain audience is terrifying. I have done it. It is really scary, and it took time to work once I shifted. And I think at the same time, it can be the most important shift that you can make to reach that next level of growth, right? So one is, what are some of the initial changes that you can make? Two is, as we think about this larger transition, there's this moment in time where you might still be one foot in each side, but you need to take this leap around your messaging and shift that. And that can feel really scary. So I just want to acknowledge that, but also remind you that it is sometimes the number one thing getting in the way of where you are, like taking you from where you are today to that next level. Okay. Second thing is that we are all almost like physiologically designed to avoid change. Change is essentially a form of loss. And so it kind of triggers this like grief reaction, even if it's a wanted change. Even if it's a desired change, there is this feeling of loss around it. And there's 5 different kinds of loss associated with change. To be honest, I can't remember all of them, but a few of them that really stand out to me are loss of time, like the whole sunk cost fallacy, loss of story, right? Like, oh, wow, I did all this work and I thought I was going places and, now what? What does that mean about me? And loss of status, and there's a couple others. Now, I think the loss of story piece is a really interesting one because it kind of ties into that whole idea of like nobody's an overnight success, right? Like you just didn't see like the 10,000 hours I put in before I became famous overnight. And I think that there's a similar piece there, is that all of the steps that you have taken are all like Lego pieces that fit together into this larger piece of the puzzle. So while it's true that to some degree, if you want to reach a new level, you're going to need to make changes, it is also true that where you are today, the podium that you stand on, has as a result of all the Lego pieces that you have stacked and that you have built. Okay? So really, really important to understand that this fear of change is like common. And is not going to show up as fear of change. It's usually going to show up as fear of failure. I'm not a therapist. That's just my guess and, frankly, my experience. And just really knowing that, like, that's a process that needs to be had. And even if you talk to people who have worked in startups and who have been at startups from, like, the beginning, you get a lot of people telling you, like, I'm so glad we've grown. I'm so glad that, like, we're building the vision, and I miss the days when it was just 10 of us in a room, like trying to make this thing happen. So that fear and that sadness around the change is actually like really common. And I actually think something to embrace, right? Because rather than this whole idea of like, what got you here won't get you there, right? Rather than rejecting the whole past, it's kind of like all of it is part of the journey. And I think that's really cool and really exciting. Okay. So last but not least, I think the biggest thing that I want you to take away from today is that when you think about getting there, please, 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 I beg you, define what there is and what it looks like. Like, where is there? What happens there, right? I'm putting that in air quotes. Like, really getting clear on what that is, because otherwise, what got you there or what got you here won't get you there is already vague enough as a statement. But if you don't know, we can define what here is because we can see it. But if we can't define what there is, then what do we even know about how to get there, right? And if the goal is to get there, if the goal is to make some sort of bigger leap into a new phase of your business, right, which is ultimately what you want if you're even thinking about this, then you have to know what that next phase looks like. You don't have to know what all the 5 phases down the line look like, but the very next phase, your very next desired phase, what you are going to work to achieve, you need to map that out and be clear about what it looks like and how you're going to get there. So now, I really hope that this episode has you kind of just thinking differently about this idea of what got you here won't get you there. First things first, like I said, please don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just, honor what you've built and build on that. Transition slowly. Let it be an evolution and a mindful evolution, right? Like one that you control. Really think about how your messaging is holding you back, because a lot of times that's going to be like your number one blocker. You're going to feel a little freaked out. That's okay. And more than anything, define what there looks like. Okay? So I hope this is a helpful reframe, a new way of thinking about what got you there or what got you here won't get you there. I love kind of digging into these statements that we kind of just throw around, because I think a lot of times we forget to like double click and ask ourselves these sorts of questions to like really unpack, what does it mean? What am I telling myself? What are the words? What is the narrative that I have around this change and around this growth and evolution of my business? I'm Frenchie Ferenzi. I am a growth strategist and thought partner for industry experts and creatives, and startup founders. And I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being a part of Strategy Snacks. Check out the links in the show notes for all kinds of freebies, fun things to be a part of, and ways for you to get featured on the podcast. I'll be back with more soon. Bye, everyone.